Yeah.
We have done what every citizen should do, but we have gotten nothing from it. So America is in trouble. And we believe we have a solution to the problem. And if the solution is good for black people, it's good for America.
Yeah.
Are there any Americans that the West both fears and hates? Yes, there is Minister Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam. This 91-year-old man has instilled fear in the West like no one before him. His speeches often challenge the very foundations of Western values. He speaks about the ignored human rights and the struggles of black people simply trying to live in America. All of this poses a significant threat to the West. But why is this so? And have there been attempts to silence him? Let's find out. Few figures in American history have sparked as much controversy and debate as Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. As a vocal critic of American domestic and foreign policies, particularly those affecting African Americans and Middle Eastern countries, Farrakhan has been both revered and reviled. His calls for black self-reliance and empowerment, combined with his sharp critiques of systemic racism, have made him a prominent yet polarizing figure.
I know you want to kill me, but I just raised the price. You want me dead, but you gonna pay a price to get that result.
Who wants?
Let's start by delving into the life and rise of Louis Farrakhan, the man behind the movement. Who is Louis Farrakhan, and how did he rise to prominence? Born Louis Eugene Walcott on May 11, 1933, in the Bronx, New York, Farrakhan was raised in a family emphasizing education and self-discipline. His early years were marked by a passion for music, which he pursued as a young man. However, his path took a dramatic turn when he joined the Nation of Islam (NOI) in the mid-1950s. Farrakhan quickly rose through the ranks of the NOI, showing a unique ability to connect with and inspire his audience. Under the mentorship of Malcolm X, Farrakhan honed his oratory skills and deepened his understanding of the socio-political issues facing African Americans. Following Malcolm X's departure from the NOI, Farrakhan emerged as a key figure within the organization, eventually becoming its leader in 1977 after the death of Elijah Muhammad.
To see Minister Louis Farrakhan up close. The group's leader entered the Joe Louis Arena this afternoon to a massive crowd of cheering supporters. In Detroit, the Nation of Islam annual convention is Farrakhan's keynote remarks, and he wrapped up a weekend of workshops from religious and political leaders all around the country. The movement was founded in Detroit, but is now based in Chicago.
Under Farrakhan's leadership, the NOI saw a resurgence in its influence and membership. He emphasized economic self-sufficiency, community development, and the importance of education. Farrakhan's charismatic leadership style and ability to articulate Black Americans' frustrations and aspirations cemented his status as a formidable leader. Farrakhan's leadership also coincided with a significant social and political change in America. The civil rights movement had brought many issues of racial inequality to the forefront, but the struggle for true equality was far from over. Farrakhan's message of self-reliance and empowerment resonated with many African Americans who felt that the promises of the civil rights era had not been fully realized. Furthermore, Farrakhan's ability to engage with and address the concerns of young African Americans played a crucial role in his rise to prominence. He recognized the importance of reaching out to the younger generation, who were often disillusioned with the traditional civil rights leadership. Through his speeches, writings, and public appearances, Farrakhan provided a voice for those who felt marginalized and unheard. With his rising influence, Farrakhan began to challenge the status quo, particularly focusing on American foreign policy and systemic racism. So, how did Farrakhan challenge Western policies and narratives?
Audience. The United States of America, one of the greatest nations in the last 6,000 years, is in grave trouble, not because of the power of a foreign government, but because of an internal rot and decadence that could very well sentence this nation to the ignominy that many of her sister nations have gone to before her. America is in the path of Sodom and Gomorrah, ancient Egypt, Babylon, and
Farrakhan's challenges to Western policies are rooted in his strong critiques of American imperialism and systemic racism. He has been vocal about the exploitation and oppression of African nations by Western powers, criticizing the economic and political policies that keep these countries in a state of dependency and underdevelopment. One of Farrakhan's most significant challenges to the West came in the form of his international outreach. He built relationships with leaders from countries often at odds with the United States, including Libya's Muammar Gaddafi and Cuba's Fidel Castro. These alliances were seen as direct affronts to American foreign policy, which often sought to isolate these regimes. Domestically, Farrakhan's speeches and writings frequently highlight the systemic racism embedded in American society. He critiques the prison industrial complex, economic inequalities, and the lack of opportunities for Black Americans. His advocacy for Black self-reliance, including calls for Black-owned businesses and institutions, stands in stark contrast to the integrationist approaches promoted by many mainstream civil rights leaders.
Rome. And at the core of this internal problem of America is the unwanted presence of nearly 30 to 40 million Black people who didn't come on the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, or the Mayflower, but who came in the holds of ships. And from the day that our fathers set the soles of their feet in the Western Hemisphere, our cry has been for justice, and our cry is for justice today. I am not before you to anger you, to upset you. I am before you as an instrument, I hope, of peace, and I hope of reason. As a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I want you to know that I'm not an enemy of America, nor am I an enemy of Jews or white people, and certainly I'm not an enemy of Black people. But I hope you will understand before this is over that I am pro-truth, pro-justice, and I hope for the liberation of our people and the salvation of this nation.
Farrakhan's Million Man March in 1995 was a pivotal moment in his challenge to the West. The march, which called for Black men to gather in Washington, D.C. to promote unity and self-improvement, demonstrated his ability to mobilize large segments of the African American community. It was a powerful statement against the systemic injustices faced by Black Americans and a call for empowerment and self-sufficiency. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. In addition to his critiques of American domestic policies, Farrakhan has also been a vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy. He has condemned America's military interventions in the Middle East and Africa, arguing that these actions are driven by economic and geopolitical interests rather than genuine humanitarian concerns. Farrakhan's opposition to these interventions has often put him at odds with the mainstream political establishment. Farrakhan's challenges to Western policies extend beyond rhetoric. He has actively sought to build alliances with other oppressed peoples around the world, emphasizing the interconnectedness of their struggles. This global perspective has further intensified the West's fear of him, as it challenges the narrative of American exceptionalism and highlights the shared experiences of marginalized communities worldwide.
In New Orleans.
Why should our people have to subsist on charity or live in poor houses when we built the country for you, fought, bled, and died to maintain the country for you? You ask us to pay taxes like everybody else. Wait a minute, we don't get justice. We give you our tax dollar to support a police department that doesn't respect us. We give you our tax dollar to support education that does not educate us properly. We give you our tax dollars. You spend $4 billion each year on Israel to maintain Israel in a welfare position. You send billions of dollars. You rebuilt Germany. You rebuilt Japan. Here we are, fought, bled, and died, made you what you are. What are you willing to come on down with to help the Black man rebuild himself?
Minister Farrakhan's advocacy for Black empowerment is multifaceted, focusing on economic independence, educational advancement, and community development. He emphasizes the importance of Black people controlling their destinies and creating institutions that serve their communities' needs. Economic self-sufficiency is a cornerstone of Farrakhan's message. He has consistently encouraged Black Americans to support Black-owned businesses and to build economic power within their communities. This includes initiatives like the Economic Development Foundation, which aims to promote entrepreneurship and economic growth among African Americans. Farrakhan also places a strong emphasis on education. He advocates for educational curricula that reflect the history and contributions of African Americans, as well as the establishment of schools that cater specifically to the needs of Black students. Under his leadership, the NOI has established several schools that aim to provide a high-quality education rooted in the values of self-discipline and community service. Community development is another key aspect of Farrakhan's empowerment strategy. He has promoted initiatives that address issues such as housing, healthcare, and social services within Black communities. By focusing on building strong, self-reliant communities, Farrakhan believes that Black Americans can achieve true liberation and independence. Farrakhan's advocacy extends to the political realm as well. He encourages Black Americans to be politically active and to vote for candidates who support their interests. He has also called for greater representation of Black people in positions of power and influence, both in government and in the private sector. Farrakhan's emphasis on self-reliance and empowerment has resonated with many African Americans who feel that the traditional civil rights movement has not adequately addressed their needs. His message of economic independence, educational advancement, and community development offers a comprehensive vision for Black empowerment that goes beyond mere political rights. Moreover, Farrakhan's ability to inspire and mobilize has made him a powerful advocate for Black empowerment. Through his speeches, writings, and public appearances, he has provided a voice for those who feel marginalized and unheard. His charismatic leadership and unwavering commitment to his cause have earned him both admiration and opposition.
You know what I think? I think you've given up.
Given up on what?
On the ideal of an integrated America, the dream of Martin Luther King. I think you've given up. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck now. I'm telling you honestly that I think you've given up.
If I may respond, the Kerner Commission, established by President Johnson in 1967, said that there were two societies, one Black, one white, one rich, one poor. And the Kerner Commission gave specific recommendations that had to be followed if America believed in integration. 20 years after that, a group of scientists got together to see what the progress was. And the progress is that we have a larger middle class, but the masses of Black people have gone backward. And the country is not only separate and unequal, but in worse condition today than it was then. So
Farrakhan's strong stance on Black empowerment and his critiques of systemic racism have made him a target of intense opposition and fear from the West. Why does the West fear Minister Louis Farrakhan? The fear of Minister Louis Farrakhan in the West stems from his ability to galvanize and mobilize large segments of the African American population, coupled with his unwavering critiques of systemic racism and American foreign policy. Farrakhan's rhetoric challenges the very foundations of Western hegemony and threatens the status quo. One of the primary reasons the West fears Farrakhan is his potential to unify and inspire African Americans to demand systemic change. His calls for Black self-reliance and economic independence resonate with many who feel disenfranchised by the existing socio-economic structures. This potential for large-scale mobilization is seen as a threat to the established order, which relies on maintaining control over marginalized communities. Farrakhan's international alliances also contribute to Western fears. By building relationships with leaders in countries that are often viewed as adversaries by the United States, Farrakhan positions himself as a global advocate for oppressed peoples. These alliances challenge the narrative of Western superiority and highlight the interconnectedness of struggles against imperialism and systemic oppression. Furthermore, Farrakhan's critiques of systemic racism expose the deep-rooted inequalities and injustices that many in the West prefer to ignore or downplay. By bringing these issues to the forefront and demanding accountability, Farrakhan forces a confrontation with uncomfortable truths about the nation's history and current practices. The media's portrayal of Farrakhan as a controversial and divisive figure also plays a role in the West's fear of him. By focusing on his more provocative statements and ignoring the broader context of his message, the media contributes to a perception of Farrakhan as a radical threat. This portrayal serves to marginalize his influence and dissuade potential allies from supporting his cause. Farrakhan's ability to mobilize and inspire large groups of people is a direct challenge to the power structures that seek to maintain control over marginalized communities. His message of self-reliance and empowerment threatens to disrupt the socio-economic order and create a more equitable society. This potential for change is a significant source of fear for those who benefit from the existing power dynamics. Moreover, Farrakhan's emphasis on international solidarity and his alliances with other oppressed peoples challenge the narrative of American exceptionalism. By highlighting the shared experiences of marginalized communities worldwide, Farrakhan underscores the global nature of the struggle against oppression and imperialism. This global perspective further intensifies the West's fear of him, as it threatens to undermine their influence and control.
So I don't think, Mr.
You make my point.
Donahue, you should put it on me that I've given up. America has never believed in integration. Never.
Despite the opposition and threats, Farrakhan continues to be a powerful advocate for Black empowerment and a voice for those who feel marginalized by the system. Minister Farrakhan has faced numerous threats and opposition throughout his career, ranging from government surveillance and media attacks to accusations of anti-Semitism and extremism. Despite these challenges, Farrakhan has remained steadfast in his mission and continues to advocate for the empowerment of Black people. Government surveillance has been a constant presence in Farrakhan's life. The FBI and other agencies have closely monitored his activities, viewing him as a potential threat to national security due to his influence and international connections. These surveillance efforts have included infiltration of the NOI, wiretapping, and attempts to gather incriminating evidence against him. Media portrayal has also been a significant source of opposition. Farrakhan is often depicted as a controversial and divisive figure, with media outlets focusing on his more provocative statements while ignoring the broader context of his message. This negative portrayal serves to discredit him and diminish his influence. Accusations of anti-Semitism have been particularly damaging to Farrakhan's reputation. He has been criticized for statements that are perceived as hateful towards Jewish people, leading to widespread condemnation and attempts to silence him. Farrakhan has defended himself by arguing that his critiques are directed at specific policies and actions, rather than being rooted in hatred of any group. Despite these challenges, Farrakhan has remained resolute. He continues to speak out against systemic racism, economic inequality, and the exploitation of African nations. He has also called for dialogue and understanding, emphasizing that his goal is justice and equality for all oppressed peoples. Farrakhan's resilience in the face of opposition is a testament to his commitment to his cause. He continues to be a powerful advocate for Black empowerment and a voice for those who feel marginalized by the system. His ability to inspire and mobilize continues to be a source of fear for those who wish to maintain the status quo. Farrakhan has also faced opposition from within the African American community. Some civil rights leaders have criticized his rhetoric and methods, arguing that they are divisive and counterproductive. Despite these criticisms, Farrakhan has continued to push forward with his message of self-reliance and empowerment, believing that true liberation requires a radical rethinking of the existing socio-political structures.
1 in 4 Black males either in jail or under the tutelage of the prison system. And so I'm here to say that it hurts me to think about this, but I think I have a responsibility to understand how a lot of smart people would get to this place. America is not interested in integration. If that's the case, why are you even bothering to suggests that you're interested in it. Why not make your statement more in fact and without qualification? And if America has not been interested in integration, I assume you feel it never will be, certainly not in your lifetime. So why don't you proceed then from that point of view and tailor your speeches accordingly?
It's deeper.
Furthermore, Farrakhan has faced threats to his safety. Throughout his career, there have been numerous instances where he has been targeted for assassination or other forms of violence. Despite these threats, Farrakhan has remained undeterred, continuing to speak out and advocate for his beliefs.
Than that, Mr. Donahue, we have a stake here. We have helped to build this country. When the Civil War broke out, supposedly, Mr. Lincoln wanted to free the slaves, but according to his own words, he really didn't care whether America had slaves or not. He really wanted to save the Union. Black soldiers fought on the side of the North and the South. The Union was saved, but we were not.
So, Minister Louis Farrakhan's life and work provide a profound example of resilience and advocacy in the face of systemic opposition. His rise to prominence, challenges to Western policies, and unwavering commitment to black empowerment have made him a significant and polarizing figure. The West's fear of Farrakhan is rooted in his ability to inspire and mobilize, his critiques of systemic racism, and his calls for black self-reliance and empowerment. Despite the threats and opposition he faces, Farrakhan continues to be a powerful advocate for justice and equality, challenging the status quo and demanding accountability. His story highlights the importance of understanding and addressing the unique challenges faced by black communities in the pursuit of equality and justice. Do you think he is the leader that the West must be scared of? Why can't the West see a critique of their homeland? Are they too scared of freedom of speech? Let us know in the comment section. Can leaders like him ever be silenced? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.